This is Matt for Into Boxing. I'm delighted to be finally speaking to the one and only Mr. Adam Booth. Adam, it's a Mick Conlan fight week. Terrific atmosphere here in Belfast. Return of the Mick. Let's start with Mick Conlan. Looks in incredible condition. What's his camp been like, and has he seemed different from any other camp?
It's been a long camp, and it's been pretty much perfect, as perfect as a camp can be. And what he has shown is even more desire to achieve his dream. And I think the painful lesson from previous has certainly been a fuel to him.
He seems, when I spoke to him, to be the exact same Mick Conlan that he was prior to the Leewood defeat. Very calm, very cool, but he does have that bite about him to want to go and still achieve those dreams of becoming world champion. How important is it that, not that he just beats Marriaga, who's a tough fighter, but that he looks good doing it?
No, the important thing is to win and do the right job. Yeah. That's it. Looking good, the aesthetics of it will be what it is, but all we're focused on is him doing what he has to do to win the fight, control the fight, and dictate how the fight goes.
Now, Marriaga, when you look at his record, he's got more knockouts than Mick's had fights. What does that say about Mick, the fact that he wants to go in there with someone like that, someone who does pack a punch, rather than coming back off a knockout defeat to someone who he knows that he's going to be, more than heavily favourite to beat?
That Mick's more than a heavy favourite?
Yeah, as in, he could have picked someone maybe who doesn't have a higher percentage knockout ratio, but he's going in with someone who looks like he can bang a bit.
He can't just punch, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
I mean, he's fought Oscar Valdez, Nicholas Walters and Lomachenko. And Lomachenko's the only one that stopped him, and that was because he Lomachenko'd him and befuddled him. That lets you know the level that this fellow is used to competing at. Yeah. Mick believes that he is going to be a world champion, and that it's a matter of time, and that he's one small step away from achieving his dream. And Mick's got such a strong competitive spirit that you need someone like Marriaga in front of him to eradicate any risk of complacency.
Absolutely. I want to come on to Harlem Eubanks. We didn't get a chance to catch up with you last week. Harlem was had a bit of adversity in the fight. He got clipped after the referee told the opponent to break. Took his time, came back, but he seemed to be controlling the fight. Very good jab. How pleased were you with how Harlem handled himself through that fight? Because it's one of them fights where it really sort of puts you under the cosh and puts you under a bit of pressure.
Well, it put him a little bit under pressure energetically, because he realised how much he'd had to put into his shots just to stop the fella coming forward. What happened with the late knockdown was more than unfortunate. The referee, I don't think, was clear. I don't think he was clear to a non-speaking fighter, a non-English speaking fighter, and I think that's what caused the confusion. And he then threw the two late blows that ended up being deliberate fouls. I think he should have been disqualified straight away. But had he been disqualified straight away, Harlem wouldn't have then got that little invaluable lesson of dealing with adversity, because he then had to get himself back together and control what went on, get through the round and start to win the next round. And so, the fact that the referee let it go on, which I think he shouldn't have done, actually ended up benefiting Harlem.
I was going to say, is that the sort of thing that, not necessarily that you plan for, but that he needs to prepare him for when he goes into these fights with the likes of world-level opponents, when he's going to be taken into deep waters and things like that? Does that prepare him for that and mentally get him in that mindset of, these are the type of things that I might have to deal with later on?
In combat sport and in boxing, you have to be mentally and emotionally prepared for anything. Anything can happen, and over the years, we've seen pretty much everything happen, and you just have to have the mindset and the emotional control to nothing, whatever goes on, and just have belief in yourself that whatever happens, that you can deal with it.
Harlem, over the last couple of years, has really sort of got his name out there, and obviously when he first came into the game, everyone obviously associated him with Chris, and it's a relation of Chris, but he's now sort of built himself away from that now. How pleased are you with how he's sort of handling himself, and the fact that he's getting the recognition he deserves for being a fighter rather than just obviously a relation of Chris Eubank Jr.?
It does him justice as a person and as a fighter. We spoke a long time ago about doing it where he develops as a fighter in the background, so that when he's ready to step into the spotlight, that he can firstly cope with it and secondly do himself justice. And I think that now is the process that's showing out.
When you look at him, does he look like he's showing all the hallmarks of someone who can become a future world champion? Obviously difficult to maybe say at this stage because he's still climbing, but when you look at him and how he's progressing, do you see that in him?
The one thing that Harlem is doing is everything he possibly can. You know, you can apply all the cliches to somebody who genuinely lives the life, loves living the life, and doesn't cry away from anything, good or bad, and is prepared to do whatever. You know, you've got to look at the sparring that he's had in the gym, where not only has he been the smaller man, but the man with far less experience than the guys he's consistently in. And him galvanising himself mentally, emotionally, technically, and every other way has happened in the gym, and that's now showing out.
Let's quickly talk about Josh Kelly. Tough fight. Bastida came to fight, but he got through it in the end, and it looks like it's going to set up a clash with Troy Williamson. What did you make of Josh's performance? Were you pleased with it, happy with it? What did you make of it?
I think he did more than get through it. I think he has. It was an essential part of his rehab from the Avanesian loss, and it was, you know, he, in the preparation before and in his performance, he was much better than he was in his first comeback fight, which is what we needed it to be. And really, for that to happen, you needed someone that was there to try and win, someone that essentially believed that he was unbeaten and was full of spirit and determination. You know, you've got to get used to dealing with these guys energetically as well as technically. So that was the nice progress for Josh. And, you know, for the most part of the fight, I thought he did it superbly. I think his jab is now definitely a world-class jab. We know that he's got world-class defensive IQ, and it's just stitching it together and always making the right choice at the right time. You know, there was a head clash in the second round that he really felt. He had to deal with that. Then there was a cut eye again. He had to deal with that. You know, and he dealt with it with, realistically, you know, an 8-2 win. I think Steve Gray scored it 8-2. The other judge scored it 7-3. I think that's fine. The judge that scored it 5-4 and 1 needs to be pulled to one side and left away from judging for the time being.
Yeah, I couldn't quite believe that scoring. 7-3, 8-2 seemed about right from the naked eye. Talk to us about your stable of fighters. You've got like a plethora of talent in that gym. Are you looking to bring any more into your stable, or are you just happy and content with what you've got?
I'm never looking to bring any more into the stable. I'm always telling myself I'm one step away from walking away from coaching, and for some reason the next fighter always comes along.
Why are you one step away?
Always have been. It's hard, you know. I don't know. I don't know why. It's just something in me where I'm like a moth to the flame. Where when you do something for so long, and also so quite intensely as well, it can be tiring at times. And you think, all right, I need a break from this. But just as I think, all right, there's a bit of a break here, I'll take a few months away. Something else pops up.
Well, that sort of would bring me on to my next question. Have you thought what you are going to do if eventually one day you sort of say...
I 100% know what I'm going to do.
Go on.
I'm going to play golf.
Brilliant. That's what you're going to do?
That's what I'm going to play golf.
But is that going to be hard, playing golf and watching the boxing and seeing what's going on, knowing that, you know what, I want to get involved? It's like a retired fighter. They want to come back for more. Are you going to find that difficult at all?
I'll let you know when I get there.
Well, Adam Booth, thanks for giving us some of your time. I appreciate you finally catching up with us, and good luck for Saturday night.
Stop saying finally catching up. It sounds like
finally.
Pissy moan about me. Stop it.
Appreciate your time.